Hello friends, welcome to BSc Agriculture. If you are coming to my channel for the first time, then don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Your subscription and like are always trying to motivate us. So please subscribe. So let's move to the video. In this video, we are going to see about fundamentals of biochemistry. I am going to teach unit 3 and the lecture topic is structures of protein. So while seeing structures of protein, I am going to tell you about the configuration or as well as the conformation of protein. So protein is referred to a three-dimensional structure of protein nature in native state. So they are functionally active in its native states. So there are many different possible configuration owing to large size of. So they are almost used to have a complex structure in different level of organisms. So after that, the protein is classified into 4 level of organizations. So they are the primary, secondary, tertiary as well as the quaternary. So I have given some of the example of protein structures. The first one in the top is to show about the primary structure, which only have a straight chain, and secondary a polypeptide bond is between two straight chains, as well as in tertiary they used to have a 3-dimensional, as well as in quaternary they used to form a confused subsequent structures. It's how the structures of protein is classified. As well as in primary structure sequencing, you must need to know the peculiarity of English, not only 26 letters, but you must need to understand words to gain the primary sequence of proteins. So for the primary structure of sequencing, you must need to have millions of words because of sequencing. So in sequencing, you can able to see like on or as well as which is termed as no, or or which is equal to be termed as ear, this to be known as shit. So where the sequencing changes but with the same number of alphabets, it's how the sequencing is also in primary structure. So in sequencing, I have already told you that there are around 20 amino acids, but proteins there are thousands of proteins because of different nature of sequencing. So first we are going to see the primary structure, where the tryptosine, lysozyme, cytosine, and leucine is given in the structure. So according to Frederick Sanger in 1953, he used to have found amino acid sequence of insulin. So he referred it as the primary structure, which is refers to the number of amino acid present in the protein, as well as the order in which amino acid, the covalent linkage bond, where the peptide bonds are formed in those, was mentioned by Frederick Sanger. So it's the simple structure of a primary protein, where the amino acid and carboxyl groups of 2 amino acids react to form a peptide linkage. A molecule of water is lost as each linkage forms. So after that, I have given the primary structure of protein, which is the alanine, leucine, cysteine, as well as metathionine in that. And so the primary structure of protein is used to have a maintenance which is done forcefully involved. They use it to have a peptide bond which is stable and which is a backbone of protein for its structural maintenance, and they usually disrupted by chemical or enzymatic hydrolysis. So, and you must need to remember that the peptide bonds will not be directly introduced by salt concentration or changes in pH or solvent in our body. So they use it to have a disulfide bridges in between them. After that, we are going to see the determination of primary structure of protein. In that, the number of polypeptide chains or subunits in the protein are need to be determined. So the separates of polypeptide chain must be done for its studying if it is greater than 1. as well as the determination of amino acid sequence of the subunits are needed, as well as the position of disulfide bond between different subunits need to be determined for study of primary structure of protein. So here we are going to see the determination of number of C-terminal or N-terminal amino acids. So the N-terminal is amine as well as the C-terminal is COOH. So for N-terminal identification, so we use Sanger's reagent, so which is found by a Sanger scientist named as Sanger. So the chemical reagent you are going to use is fluorodinitrobenzene, which we can able to short form as FDNB, or else you can use danzite chloride, or else you can use Enman's reagent, which is nothing but phenyl isothiocyanate, which we can able to even call as PITC. So for determining the amino acid sequence of polypeptide chains of N-terminal, after every cycle, the newly acid liberated phenolphthalein threonate amino acid was identified during this by this chemical reaction. So the sequence of peptide containing 30 to 40 amino acids can be determined during the N-terminal identification. So this picture shows the N-man degradation reaction. It's what we have seen in the before slide, where the N-man degradation in phenyl isothiocyanate is plus polypeptide is mixed and used to form a phenyl thiocarbonate polypeptide during the process, and they use it to form thiazonol derivative plus amine group, where that the rearrangement can be done with the presence of HCl's, or else the cycle used to repeatedly form the phenyl isothiocyanate and polypeptide in that. So we have now finished seeing the C-terminal. Now we are going to see about C-terminal identification, which is almost similar to N-terminal acids. So in the C-terminal identification, the hydrazine is used to find the C-terminal amino acids. So they usually react with the carbonyl group of each peptide bond except the C-terminal amino acid. So the bond is cleaved by the hydrazine derivative. So this cleavage process is known as hydrazinolysis. So the carboxyl group and C-terminal amino acid is not involved in a peptide bond, but it remains as a mixture as a only unmodified amino acid. So they used to form a chromatographic separation, as well as they are used to have a comparison with the standard colors where it's described, as well as the carboxy peptides, so which is used for enzymatic determination of C-terminal amino acids. So this picture shows you the identification of C-terminal using hydrazine, where the polypeptide is taken and hydrazine is added. So they use it to form a mixture of amino acyl hydroxides as well as the free amino acid from C-terminal end, so which is used for the identification of C-terminal in this process. So after that, in the second, we are going to see, after the determination, we are going to see the separation and purification of polypeptide chain. So there are used to be even in primary structure, there are more than one polypeptide chains. The separation of polypeptide chains is mainly essential. So the polypeptide chains is connected by disulfide bonds, where it can be cleaved to separate individually as by the peptide chains. So they are used to treated with 2-mercaptoethanol, which is HSCH2CH2OH. So they are used to have a reductive cleavage in the polypeptide chains, as well as they used to have resulting free SH groups are usually alkylated by treatment with the iodoacetic acids. So this picture shows you the two polypeptide linkage chain through sulfur bridges is first given, as well as the mercaptanol, the chemical reagent I have told you before, is used to oxidize it to form mercaptoethanol, and the separated polypeptide is used to be given as, and the iodic acid, iodo acid is inserted and used to form alkylated polypeptide with the release of hydrogen iodide. It's how the separation of polypeptide chains is done in this process. And now after the separation we are going to see about dissociation of subunits. So they are used to have a denaturing agent, which is urea guanine ion, as well as detergents. We are using sodium dicyl sulfate, which is known as SDS. They are dissociated into subunits or then separated using ion exchange or gel filtration chromatographic methods. So after the determination and separation, we are going to see about the sequencing of polypeptides. So we have already determined the amino acid as 30 to 40 amino acids in polypeptides by Edmonds reaction. So when there is more than 40 amino acids, so the both enzymatic and chemical methods are employed to break the polypeptide chains in the protein into smaller peptides. So when we use trypsin, so they use it to hydrolyze the peptide bond on the carboxyl of basic amino acids residues of lysine and arginine. In cyanogen bromide, they use it to cleave the peptide bond on carboxyl side of methionine residues. So the peptide bonds are usually separated and determined by Edmonds reaction. So the hydrolysis of original polypeptide by two different methods, which you always usually overlaps on one another, and use it to derive the sequence of the primary structure. So this picture shows the hydrolysis process takes place as the hydrolysis of two peptide bonds in two different methods usually sequence one another on different bases, which is a irreversible process. So after that we are going to see the proteins of secondary structure, which is alpha helix as well as the beta pleated sheets, or else the collagen helix as well as the beta bends. So it's the name different based on given to its structural forms. So while seeing the secondary structure, they are used to form a steric relationship of amino acids that are close to one another in a linear sequence. So they use it to form a folding of linear polypeptide chains. So the coiling of and the folding of polypeptide chains in secondary structures are mainly done by the hydrogen bond. So the hydrogen bond is the only bond responsible for the secondary structure of protein. So I have given the alpha helix structure where the hydrogen bond is formed in between two different primary structures. So the alpha helix structure is almost look like a telephone cord. In the olden telephones, we can able to see the cord-like mechanism, which is used as a wire cable. So while seeing about the alpha helix secondary structure of protein, so they use it to form a most stable arrangement of polypeptides, so which is stabilized by the intramolecular hydrogen bonding. So they use it to form hydrogen bonds between CO group of one polypeptide and the NH group of another after 3 amino acid units. So the L amino acid used to have a right-handed helix and the D amino acid used to have a left-handed helix. So I have already told you that levo and dextro, for that left is equal to left is inversely proportional to helix, as well as the right is inversely proportional to helix. So you must need to remember it as levo is a right-handed helix as well as the dextro is a left-handed helix, so which is easier for us. So all the side chains are used to lie outside the helix, whereas carbon, nitrogen, oxygen and hydrogen of peptide bonds lie in the same plane. So glutamine, methionine and leucine favors the alpha helix structure in a stable form. So the helix breaker contains certain amino acids tend to disrupt the alpha hexyl. So the proline used to form N amino acid is the part of rigid ring and no rotation between N and C bond can be occurred. And the amino acid with charged or bulk R groups are the R groups are mainly valencyne, aspartic acid, as well as the asparagine, which is used to destabilize the helixes. So they can be either be electrostatically or physically interferes with the structure of helix formations. So I have given the example of alpha helix structure of polypeptide chain, where you can able to see the bond between NH group as well as the CO group of which used to form alpha helix structure. So after that, so it's an example for secondary structure, which is 3 to 6 combination of 13th carbon is given in there. So after alpha helix structure, now we are going to see about beta plated sheet structures, so which is mainly proposed by Pauling and Corey. Please remember that, which can be asked in point 5. So they are as a result of intermolecular hydrogen bonding between polypeptide sheet like arrangements. So the polypeptide of beta plated sheets are usually arranged side by side, so they use it to form between different chains. So the R group extend above and below the sheet, so they use it to seem like a fibrous protein of silk, which is an example for a beta plated structure. So they use it to have parallel and anti-parallel beta pleated sheet structures. So they are in two-way which the protein chains can be formed, the pleat sheeted structure. So in parallel pleated beta plated sheet, they use it to have chains running in the same direction, where the COH and NH group ends in the polypeptide chain, as well as in anti-parallel they use it to have alternate chain, where the NH and COH group is inverse or else, as well as in the opposite direction of polypeptide chains. So it's the example diagram of intermolecular hydrogen bond between anti-parallel beta plated sheet as well as the parallel beta plated sheet. So I have given an example for beta plated sheet structure in this picture. So after the beta plated sheet, we are going to see the random coils. So random coils are nothing but a region of proteins where they are not organized as helix, alpha helixes structure or else beta plated sheets. So they use it to present in random coil configuration. So in biological terms, they use it to have an equal importance as like as helix and pleated structure. So and the other and final one we are going to see about the secondary structure is triplex helix. So where the 3 polypeptide chains are woven together like a thread. So they used to have a hydrogen bond between OH group, which gives a strong structure than other 3 structures. They use it to be found in collagen and connective tissues in skin, tendons and cartilages. So it's the structure of collagen, which is a triplet helix structure. So after the secondary structure, we are going to see about tertiary structure, which is a steric relationship of amino acid residues that are far apart in a linear sequence. They use it to have a twisting of polypeptide chains into specific loops and bends, so which are mainly maintained by the 5 kinds of bonds. So the tertiary structures are forcefully involved in bonding. So the ionic bond between charged R groups, as well as the hydrogen bond between two polar groups, as well as the 2 non-polar groups interacted by hydrophobically interaction. So the first one in tertiary structure we are going to see is hydrogen bond, where the side chains of R group of amino acid have a hydrogen donor and acceptor groups for these bonds. And the other one is electrostatic force or ionic bond, where it is commonly known as salt linkage, where the amino acid group and carboxyl group use it to form an interaction between them, which is an ionic bond. And the third one is sulfur-sulfur linkage, where the 2 sulfur hydride oxidation used to give the 2 cysteine sites used to form the disulfide bondage, as well as the fourth one is hydrophobic, where the two non-polar side chains used to have a forced interaction between them, and the final one of fifth interaction, which is dipole-dipole interaction, where occurs between polar and ionized side chains. So it's a structure of disulfide bond. So now we have finished the 5 bond. After that, we are going to see about the tetrate structure, where the disulfide bond, a covalent bond, is strongest one, which is not affected by the solvent, pH and temperature, as well as salt. So the tertiary structure gains a special importance in case of enzymes present in it. So it's the structure of tertiary structure of protein. And the final one in this lecture, which is a quaternary structure, where they use it to form more than one subunit or polypeptide chains. So this refers to the functional protein aggregates, so which are mainly formed by the interpolypeptide linkage of subunits as well as the polypeptide chains. So they use it to be held together by non-covalent surface interaction between the polar sides. So they use it to exist as oligomers, which is the individual polypeptide chains, which use it to form a various termed condition as protomers, monomers and subunits. So I have given a quaternary structure which example, which is a first one is hemoglobin, which is our red blood cell, as well as the other one is alpha subunits for an example. So, and the summary, you must need to know the first one picture I'm going to show is linear sequence of amino acids, and the second one which is the local folding at specific peptide bond configurations used to stimulate the hydrogen and non-covalent bond interaction between the atoms in, or the reaction for peptidic bond is the backbone of the structural protein, as well as the final fold 3-dimensional structure used to have a single polypeptide chain, but they are used to have a non-covalent interaction, which is the stabilization for the amino acid chain residues. So, and in D we are going to have a specific aggregation of 2 or more identical or non-polypeptide chains, which is characteristic by the symmetry in the quaternary structure. So you must need to remember that which class of protein this is a quaternary structure. So it's a sulfur linkage, you must need to remember it, as well as when the protein are subjected to change in pH, which is a denaturation process. The first arrow describes about the denaturation as well as the regeneration of the biological activity, which is a small quiz you must need to remember with these pictures. So the first picture we have seen in here is fibrose, and the other 4 pictures, which is a globose structure, we have seen. So I have given the lecture notes in description, so please subscribe and like. Your subscription and likes are always motivating us to put more pictures. So if you like the video, and place your queries in the comment section, and if you like the video, like it and share it with your friends, and subscribe to BSc Agriculture and hit the bell icon to get regular updates. So thanks for watching the video. Thank you. I will catch you in next videos.